Hello YouTube friends, welcome to The Last Homely House and welcome to the last day of 2023. Here we are on New Year's Eve and I thought it'd be rather nice to look back over the last 12 months and have a look at some of the things that I've been doing here. So come and join me. Hello YouTube friends. Hello YouTube friends. Hello YouTube friends. Hello YouTube friends. Hello YouTube friends.
Hello.
Hello, YouTube friends.
Yeah, because I forgot to say that.
Well, you said hi, everyone, which is what we say.
Okay.
We're saying
Oh, this is going to be a chatty couple of days.
I do say hello YouTube friends a lot, don't I? Sometimes people think that I'm saying hello you two friends. But I'm not. I'm saying hello YouTube friends. I'm stitching today. I love hand stitching and I'm doing a little bit now. And I'm stitching on this quilt that I call my Terry quilt because it was blocks that I saw on a YouTube channel by Terry Rowland, T-Row Quilts. And I'm hand stitching this quilt with the project that Anna and I have been doing together. There was a video about that just recently. I've got to crack on though because these blocks finish at 3 inches and I've decided that I'm going to quilt right through the diagonal of each one. So there's a lot of quilting in my future. I'm committed now though, and it looks really nice. But this first little clip that I want to share with you is probably one of my favourite quilts that I made in this last 12 months. And it was one of the simplest quilts I've ever made as well. So come and have a look at that little project with me now. You ready? There it is, in all its glory. Isn't that colourful? I'm really pleased with how it looks. It's incredibly simple to sew together. And the whole impact of this quilt is all these amazing Free Spirit fabrics. Here's stack number 1 and stack number 2. Now, I've never done this on a big project before, so this is kind of interesting to see how this is going to work. And all I'm going to do then is pick these two up and chain piece them 1/4 inch. And I've been looking forward to doing this. I think it's going to be a really interesting project. So the seed packet quilt then, well, I really loved making that one, and Anna and I liked it so much that we made it into one of the pages for the 2024 calendar. It's a summary one, so beautiful flowers in the garden and a beautiful quilt as well. So I love to make things by hand. I love hand stitching. I actually really should be getting on with this rather than just talking to you. And so I always say, don't I, that get out of your head and into your hands. And hand quilting is great for that. But I tell you there's something that's even better. I find spinning fibre into wool one of the most satisfying things to do. It requires hand-eye coordination and a little bit of control over the fibre. And so there's just enough thinking and engagement in that for you to stop whatever it is that's going on, troubling you in your head. And so I created a corner of my house here, which I call my spinning room. It's where I keep my spinning wheel. And so earlier in the year, I made some wool, and I want to invite you to come along and look at that with me now. So I could be some time. I'm going to make 2 full bobbins of this pink, apply it together, hank it all up. I'll leave a link in the description below to the little series I made about spinning, because that's what I did in that series. I made yarn, I hanked it up, I washed it, and then yeah, I probably knit it up into something for Agnes, my granddaughter. She's had a few of my hand knit things. So what I'm going to do with this then is the scarf, and there's enough on here to make a scarf, and the reason why I confidently say that is I'll just stop knitting when I get to the end. It's not really a pattern as such. So I'm going to get on with that over the weekend, Anna.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
I definitely...
You prefer winding?
Winder, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I don't mind either one. That's beautiful.
Oh, look at it.
Yeah.
It's a work of art.
It's a little purpley. The pink one's a little bit purpley, hasn't it?
I like the splashes, like the tomatoey red.
Yeah, and I used all the red fibre I had. I think I would have put more in if I'd had more.
Yeah, it's lovely.
But that's it. Thank you so much for doing that.
No worries. I can't wait to see it. So beautiful.
So that pink wool that I made, I knit it into a scarf. This is one of the very simplest. It's not even a pattern. I cast on 1 stitch, and then on every single row increase either side of that 1 stitch. So you end up with a great big long thin triangle. This is just big enough here to pop in the back of your neck like that, and then these 2 thinner ends tucked down inside your coat, and it is so incredibly warm. I really, really love it. So it doesn't look so great. Maybe pink and yellow? What do you think? Pink and green, of course. Pink and yellow? Maybe not. So this is my wonderful warm woolly scarf. Now, spinning. I'd love to find more time in 2024 to do some more spinning because I enjoy it so much. And so I have my little cabin down the bottom of the garden now. And so maybe in the summer, in the spring and summer, maybe I'll take my spinning wheel down there and set it up and sit and do some spinning. I hope so. I need to make some more time to spin. I love it so much. But I also love quilting, as you know. And so this next project that I want to invite you to watch in this next little clip, I went to India many years ago and brought back a lot of fabric. And so sometimes, like with the seed packet quilt, it's nice to get some new fabric and get inspired, isn't it? But it's also really good now and then to dig down into your stash, see what you've got. And that's what this next project's all about. I'd had this fabric sitting in a box for maybe a decade. And so once I was sorting through and I found that fabric, I decided that I would use the whole lot in one project. So come and have a look at that with me now. I've been thinking about this Indian trip for ages. I've talked about it before on the channel, but I've got a project that I'm going to do with some of that fabric today, and I want to talk to you about that trip. I went, I don't know, 11, 12 years ago now, can't remember exactly when, and I brought back a lot of fabric and made these cushions. I made a lot of cushions like this one, and I've given some away, and so various people have got them, and I think I've got 3 of them made with this block printed fabric. And so I was looking at them the other day, and they're really, really old. Firstly, they probably need a good wash. But secondly, I was thinking, shall I make another one? You know what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day, don't you? I'm going to be placing and rearranging for the rest of the afternoon. But I think I will carry on and sew this together today because I'm kind of into it now. It's a bit addictive. That one might go there. No, there's a nice big blue piece. That one can go there. I love how that quilt worked out. I thought it was sort of robust, really. I think that's the word I would use, and it probably will get used as a picnic blanket in the summer, which seems like a long way off now on New Year's Eve, but it's coming. It'll be with us soon. And so binding quilts is something I love to do as well, because when you bind a quilt, it's like, right, that's the absolute last thing that you need to be doing with that quilt. And so it's very satisfying, but it's also hand stitching, which I love to do. So in this next clip, I'm finishing 3 quilts. First of all, I'm finishing that quilt, the Indian block printed quilt, and the seed packet quilt. But then if you've been here any length of time, you'll know that my big opus, my massive 3-year project that resulted in Agnes, my granddaughter's quilt, all hand-stitched hexagons, I was actually finishing that quilt off and binding that one as well. So in this next clip then, we'll get into my world of binding. It was a wonderful time of year when I was doing that project. It was late spring and Anna had brought me some beautiful tulips from her garden. I just love that time of year. So let's revisit that for a moment, shall we? I'm going to talk to you about 3 finishes. The bindings on 3 quilts. I've sewn them all over the last few weeks. Now this is the last tiny little bit of binding to go on to Agnes, my granddaughter's quilt. For anyone who's been following along with this project, this has been in progress for longer than she's been alive. I started it before she was born and she's 3 now. Finished. Let's take it upstairs now, shall we? Did you enjoy that? When I finished Agnes's quilt, the binding of it, I put a hanging sleeve on it because I'd entered it into the traditional section of the Festival of Quilts. But I think maybe we might be visiting that a little bit later. But for now, we're going to stay well and truly in the summer. And in the May, I think it might have been, Arne and Carlos, who've got a channel that I know many of you follow, they were walking along Hadrian's Wall, which is not too far from where I live here. So they walked that long path, and at the end of it, they came to visit me here at the Last Homely House. And we had the absolute best time. And so come with me now while I take Arne and Carlos to some of my favourite shops. And then we have a lovely time here in the garden at the Last Homely House. Come on in. Geranium, and then some Icelandic poppy here, and then these are eating peas and courgettes and parsley, and these are sunflowers.
Look at all that cream.
Yes.
Is that the clotted colour?
Clotted cream.
Oh my god, I haven't had that for the whole trip.
Now.
Well, we'll have to try it your way.
Do you get this from thrift shops or?
Yes. Ask me the same question.
Is this a bit like your workspace?
Yeah. No.
Possibly a tiny bit messier.
So I would suggest, Arne, you know, we could do a little Mary Poppins ourselves and get everything out and then just bring in what we need.
But this works for me. Look how fast it is. Look at it, it's fast. It's a pearl stitch.
It works.
It works.
It's a pearl.
I really enjoyed that visit with Arne and Carlos. We had such a brilliant time. It was just great. And an exciting thing that's happening next March with Arne and Carlos. They lead, you may know, cruises up the Norwegian coast across the Arctic Circle, and they take a knitting project with them, and people are invited to join in with them along the way. Well, next year in March, they've invited me to do some sewing with people up the Norwegian coast across the Arctic Circle in March. So I'm sorting out warm clothes, warm hats, warm gloves, warm boots, and I'm hoping that I'm going to stay warm enough. Don't worry, I'll tell you all about it when I get back. Now, at that time in May when they came here, that was around about the time that I launched my second channel here on YouTube called The Last Homely Garden. Many times people have asked me what sort of things I'm doing in the garden, and it felt like a good opportunity to give those projects the attention they deserved with their own channel. So in May, I started talking about the things that are happening there. I have help in my garden. I have a lovely gardening team who come once a week. And also I have great help from my friend and neighbour Ant, who is just a very creative and very talented builder, well, all-round good guy, really. And he's got such a great imagination for what the things I wanted to do in my garden. So this next clip then are a few little highlights from that channel. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then pop along to The Last Homely Garden and have a look and see if it's something that you'd like to watch. But here we go, the garden. So I'm going to prepare the beetroot and the potatoes, which usually take quite a long time to cook. Oh, but these leaves from the tops of the beetroot, I'll eat those later. I'll use some of the good ones and eat those. So I'm just cutting the beetroot into approximately the same size pieces. So there were some small ones and then I halved the bigger ones. And those are bits of thyme from the garden. My son Owen thought it would be a good idea if I asked Ant if I could drive the digger. And it turns out that I kind of can, with a lot of guidance. What a lot of fun that was though. Those two handles, they just like, I don't know, they make the whole thing work. And if you remember which side does which, it's not that bad. And so there's one whole corner of the pond that I dug out with a lot of help. This ground is incredibly soft, isn't it?
Unbelievably
Unbelievably
soft.
Yeah.
But this is why the fleeces will act as a great barrier, because the soil underneath is really soft.
Yes.
And regardless of how much deeper we go, it's just going to stay soft.
Yes. So it would be really great if the boards had arrived, but they haven't. So I'm having to walk on these planks here, and it's a little bit unsafe. But soon we'll remedy that. And this is what the cabin, the little hut frame looks like. And the window that Ant's holding up there, he's holding that up so that I can say whether I want it up a bit or down a bit. Down a bit, down a bit, down a bit, down a bit. Yeah, more like there, I think. Well, the door handle's completed now. Listen to this. I love the squeak. And here's the finished scrappy wooden quilt panels with my flying geese and my pinwheels, and the 4-patch up the middle, separating the two, which I'm going to just leave as plain wood. I love how this looks. So there's a lot happening out in the garden, and this next year coming, so many more plans for the things that I want to do. We've planted lots of bulbs and a few new trees, and so I'll catch everybody up with all the progress as that one transpires. So next then, I want to tell you about something else that I did last summer. And this is, I'm not very good at making clothes for myself. I'm not stitching, am I? I'm never going to get this thing done if I just sit and talk to you guys. I'm not great at making clothes for myself. I have tried. I'm just not very good at following patterns, and I'm not very good at instructions of things. I'm going to get better because I'm not great at making New Year's resolutions either. But kind of one of my New Year's resolutions is to get better at that. And I think that's about being more careful with the way a garment is constructed. So let me stick my neck right out here and say that in 2024 I'm going to make something that I'll wear. But in 2023 I did make something that I wear every single day, and so come along for this next clip and I'll show you that. Today I want to show you some fantastic new fabric that I got the other day. I've got a project in my mind. I want to just introduce this today, and we'll get on and think about making it in the second part of this video, which will just be a moment for you, but might be a week or two for me. I have this Indian block printed fabric in 10-inch squares that I bought on Etsy. I'll find the link to that for you and put it in the description below. But I have a plan of what I want to do with this. Firstly, aren't they amazing? The colours are just so beautiful. The designs, is that the right way round? No, that's the right way round for that one. Aren't they gorgeous? And they're all very, very different. Very different. Let's find, oh, look at this one. This is a bit weird, isn't it? This one here. So they're 10-inch, approximately 10-inch squares. And I have an idea that I would like to piece together, many, many of them, and make some kind of a dressing gown. Now I've had quite a number of thoughts since then, and my new way of thinking about it is very influenced by a fantastic film that I saw. Now I definitely recommend this film if you like movies. I found it on Amazon Prime, I think, as a free to watch movie. I'm sure you can find it in all sorts of other places. But it's called Catherine Called Birdie, and it's a medieval story about a young girl's coming of age. And there's some fantastic characters in it that I really like. And Bella Ramsey plays Catherine. She's very good. But her dad is played by Andrew Scott, who is a fantastic actor, played all sorts of really great roles. And in this one, he's her father. And I won't tell you anything at all about the plot because you can enjoy it for yourself if you want to. But I did watch an interview on YouTube with him and some of the other members of the cast, and he said that the whole time, throughout the whole film, he just swanned about in like a dressing gown. And so I watched that film and I looked at that dressing gown and I really, really liked it. I loved the fabric, but I liked the drape of it and I liked the cut of it. And I decided that this fabric here has got the same kind of feel to it. So I completely changed my thoughts about how I'd put this dressing gown together. And so this is the shoulders here and the other sleeve there. So I tell you what might work. What about if I just put it on as good as it is at the moment? So it's not obviously nowhere near finished. And this would be what I was calling the inside. So now we have, I didn't cut a neckline at all. I've left that for now. And these bits here will fold back and be shorter, something along those lines. And then if I turn round, you'll be able to see that this then is how I imagine this dressing gown, this robe might be. Now, I like how these bits are. I didn't cut anything off here. This is just the square of fabric, and I quite like how that looks. So there it is, done. My new dressing gown. Here it is. I do wear it every day, but you know, I still haven't put pockets in it. So that's another New Year's resolution for 2024, is to actually put some pockets into probably just one side. I mean, I usually wear it this way out, and I could also wear it the pink way out, but I do tend to just wear it like this. And so I think just pockets maybe on one side definitely needs them. It really does. Before I move on though with the next clip that I want to tell you about, I know someone is going to ask about this quilt here. When I was talking about the striped Indian block printed quilt that a few clips ago, this is actually some of the fabric that I brought back from India with me. Some of the florals, the beautiful florals. And this is a quilt that I made, oh, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years ago. And it's all made up very simply out of squares of Indian block printed fabric with bigger squares on the back. And it is one of my favourites. I really enjoy it. I like it very much. So I mentioned earlier that I'd entered Agnes's quilt into the Festival of Quilts, the traditional section. And so in August, that's when the Festival of Quilts happens. And Anna and I went this year, and what a wonderful time we had. We met so many interesting people. We met quite a lot of you guys on the lime green sofa, and that was so nice to make that connection with the people who watch the channel. It was lovely. And so this next clip that's coming along is all about our trip to the Festival of Quilts, Anna and me. Anna and I have arrived, and we're just setting off now for the first day of the Festival of Quilts, and I'm really, really excited. And so let's do it. So Anna, what have you got there?
Jelly roll.
A jelly roll of what?
Oh, lots of beautiful Liberty. Look at that.
There's some Liberty going home with Anna.
Definitely.
And our first sale.
Yeah.
I really do like that.
That's a really good. We find it's something that Kate has taught me, and to share with people when we're teaching, to really focus on the process and enjoy that. You know what one colour is doing to another, and as you're building the story, rather than trying to conceive in your head the whole thing.
But not be too fretty about trying to finish it, because there doesn't need to be a finish line, does there?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, and it should be an open book, so you take it where it wants to go, and it'll lead you.
Yes, absolutely.
It will lead you. That's very good.
Oh, and that's a very interesting point, that, you know, allowing yourself to change your mind, so that you can take it, go in the direction it wants you to go. Yeah, that's interesting.
And because you can see here, it's it's organic. How you got the colour placing, you've got the lime greens exploding out in certain areas, then it gets very soft and pastel and icy, and then here you've got quite hard, deep depths. And you get very important little hits of reds in there.
I love listening to you guys talking about colour and why you make the colour choices you do and pattern and all of that. So talk a bit more about that then.
Well, it's very instinctive. It's like I start placing things on my wall. I usually start from the collection that we have to be featuring in our next book, and I start placing them on a wall, and then I can see that certain ones distract from the others. They kind of dampen the color, and so I take those away and try to keep things that are expanding the color and making
Always
it
in
sexier.
simple shapes.
Yeah, always very, very simple shapes, so they're very easy to make and let the fabric do the work.
Yes. We've arrived at the festival this morning, Anna and I, and bumped into this character.
Hi.
This is Chris English, and if you saw the video last year, we had a really great chat about his quilts. So I'm going to ask him to do the same again, because how many quilts have you got in the festival?
I've got 3 in the festival
3
this
in
year.
the festival,
Yeah.
so we're going to go and have a look at them all.
Absolutely.
Take us to the first one, Chris.
Right, which one? I think, where are we? Modern, let's go that way.
Let's go that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is.
Here it is.
Oh, it's unmistakably Chris.
Oh, thanks.
Ah, lovely. Okay, so come and tell us about this.
So, this is, I suppose, hopefully it is quite, I don't think, firstly it's in the modern category, but I don't think it is modern, but I tend not to let the category labels bother me too much.
It's So I'm here in this gallery here with Joe Cunningham, who I just met a couple of days ago for the first time. What a lovely guy. So tell us a bit about yourself, Joe.
I'm from Flint, Michigan. Is my homeland, and then I moved 30 years ago to San Francisco, California, where I live and where my wife and sons are, and I have a studio that's also an art gallery in San Francisco. It's a quilt gallery, though.
But you've been quilting for a long time.
44 years.
Really?
Yes, since you were in elementary school.
So I'm on the train now, on my way home from the Festival of Quilts. Very tired, very happy to be sitting down. But Anna and I have had such a brilliant time. We met so many people, so many of you people sitting on the lime green sofa came to say hello, and I absolutely loved that. And we were also really fortunate to get some great interviews, and I hope you've enjoyed those in these videos. And so I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into some of this fabric. I bought some other bits and pieces as well, and you'll be seeing these in future videos. But for now, I'm looking forward to getting home, putting my feet up, having a cup of tea, and having a long sleep. It's been the best time. Anna and I will be going back to the festival this year, I hope. So maybe we'll see some more of you there. Now, I've got my favourite cup. Anna laughs at me about this cup, but I do love it, I really do. Let me show you how it works. Okay. Oh, I won't do it over the quilt in case it spills. Okay, so this is black tea that I drink here, and it's red bush tea or rooibos tea. And I can't tell you the number of times I've poured a cup of tea, forgotten about it, and then come back to it when it's cold. No longer. This is my colour-changing mug that I got from the Harry Potter shop in London. It's the Marauder's Map. I don't really mind too much about all of that part of it, but look what happens when you put hot tea in. I never drink cold tea anymore. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? So I'm going to pop that down there and keep an eye on it. And when it changes colour, I'll know I've got to drink my tea. Okay then, so that was a festival of quilts. What I want to talk about in this next clip is, this is something that I did with my mum in mind. Now, my mum sewed so much. She made so many quilts in her life. And one of the things that I found when I was clearing out her sewing room was quite a few Project Linus quilts. Now, I think some of you may know about Project Linus. It's a lovely charity that supports children in hospital and children in care and all sorts of children who just need a bit of a warm hug. And there is nothing better than a quilt for giving you a warm hug. So to follow in my mum's tradition of making Project Linus quilts, I've made a few this year. The second reason why I make them is, and I'm going to make more, is that I really like when I want to try out a new block or a new idea, it's really great to make a small quilt like that, which you can practically finish in a day. And so this next clip is all about the quilts I made this year for Project Linus. What I love about this quilt is this simple block construction. When you put it together, it gives this travelling kind of square going through it there. So I made that one. This is just a quilt top there. I haven't quilted it yet. I made it yesterday. And when I looked at it, and I really like it, but I thought, what would happen if I made the squares smaller? There would be, it would be a little bit more of a busy kind of quilt. These are 2.5 inch strips up here, but what would happen if I made the strips 2 inches? So I'm going to show you my process of making this quilt block, but instead of making it on this scale, I'm going to make it ever so slightly smaller. And this one is for a little doll. So I made this doll's quilt here, and with this one, the strip was 1.5 inches, so that the finished is 1 inch. Now it's a quilt block that I've made before. It's the St. Louis 16 patch, and it's a quilt block that I really love because it comes together so easily and uses jelly roll strips. What's not to like? In order to extend this fabric a bit, I've bought this. Now this is fabric that I bought from Cotton Patch here in the UK. That's the supplier I use here in the UK. And I bought these 3. Now let's see if you can see how well these go together. I bought these 3 fabrics here, and then I bought this bigger bit, which I think will do for some features on the front, but also for the back of the quilt. Now you know, if you've been here any length of time, how much I love Liberty fabric. And Liberty fabric is very, very beautiful, but quite hard to quilt with because it's so sheer. So of course Liberty have made quilting weight fabric for us quilters. Okay, let's make some space here And press that open. I love what happens when you scale a block up or down. That simple thing of just making the Irish chain blocks bigger and smaller completely changes how the quilt looks. I love that. And so I'm learning about quilting all the time, and so is my daughter-in-law Anna. At the beginning of the year, we set about the task of helping Anna to make a quilt. Now, the fabric she chose is absolutely beautiful, and Spoonflower, which is, do you know about Spoonflower? It's a lovely company that does all sorts of printing of fabric and wallpaper. I'm just waxing my thread with a bit of beeswax here. It makes it sit in the fabric better and doesn't tangle when I'm stitching. So Anna chose this fabric from Spoonflower, and they very kindly donated the fabric. That was really kind of them. And so these next few clips then are the progress throughout the year of Anna's quilt coming together. Now, I make playlists about all these things. So there's a playlist about the Project Linus quilts, there's a playlist about spinning, and there'll be a playlist about Anna's quilts. So I'm going to leave a little list in the description below this video of where you can go to those playlists and find all the videos in that little series. So here she goes, making a quilt. Spoiler alert, she really enjoyed it. So come on, stop teasing us.
Okay.
I'll pour us a cup of tea.
Oh, yes, please.
And you get the fabric out, Anna.
All right. Goodness. Oh, look at that.
Let me have a look.
Look at that. It's so colourful.
So while Anna's finishing off that first tube, she's pressing them all now and she's going to put them on the board and have a look at them. I've been cutting some more scraps for this quilt that I'm making. I made this a few weeks ago, and it's Terry's scrap challenge of the colour wash quilt, and I've been really enjoying making these little pieces here. Every time I've got a spare few minutes, I'll make a few more bits and pieces. At the same time as cutting those, it's also great to cut more pieces for the plus quilt. So I've got those two scrap quilts going on at the moment. Come on in and tell us what you're going to do today.
Oh,
Are you all right?
Yes, yeah.
It's just turned up. I'll put
Get
the
out
kettle
the
on.
Frodo.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
pull on my next
Well,
one. Here we go.
I step forward and you step back, and now we're in
Do a little
proportion.
dance.
The dance of the Hobbit. So I've finished webbing all one direction, and before I fold each row over and sew it to its neighbour, I just love the way it looks when it floats in the breeze, and so I couldn't resist bringing it down to the treehouse. There's maybe two more over this edge here, but that's pretty much the size of it, and I love how it looks. I'm very pleased with it. Loads and loads of little tiny bits of fabric, all stitched together in a very particular way. So I'm really, really pleased with it. As well, so get hold of just a tiny bit and just give it a little tug. No, just the backing itself.
All right.
That's it. And then you can be sure then. And then we're just few more pins and we're nearly there.
Yeah, looking good.
I like it. I really do. Have you thought about how you're going to bind it? Have we talked about that?
I thought like of all of the colours.
Yeah, scrappy.
Scrappy, yeah.
So we'll put these last few pins in
Yeah.
and then we can get on with the hand quilting.
I can't believe it.
Try and get that needle threaded, Anna. Maybe trim the edge off a tiny bit.
It was a real struggle.
Yeah? Just try and trim the end off a little bit.
I will. I was just trying that technique of yours where you put it between your finger and your thumb.
It really works.
No, I've been mastering it at home. Oh dear. Oh
But
dear.
it has to be really straight. It has
Yeah.
to be and wet, you know?
Yeah.
And I've just come across a little run where the cat's been asleep and it's got cat hair on it.
Oh no.
Yes, exactly. So this is going to need a wash as soon as it's finished.
Yeah. Aha! Got it.
You got it. Oh, you're so clever.
Thank you. Learning so much.
So Anna and I had an ambition to finish both of our quilts because this is the quilt that I'm making as Anna finishes her spoonflower quilt. And we had this ambition to finish them within the year. And here we are now on New Year's Eve. I'm still stitching on mine. I'm fairly certain that Anna's still stitching on hers. So we really hope to get the quilts bound because that's something that I want to teach her about, is about putting on the bindings and all of the techniques that she needs to learn about that. It's only ever the way that I do things, but I'll be teaching her how to do that in the new year. So sadly that quilt didn't get finished, and this one won't if I don't stitch on it a bit more. This next clip that you're about to watch is inspired by my mum as well. She was a phenomenal sewer. Growing up as a little girl, she was always stitching something. And so she made my whole family Christmas stockings. And so now, of course, since she died, there have been new members of the family who haven't got stockings. So I've carried on that tradition and I've made them for my grandchildren. So this next clip then is about that. And it also show you that the epic quilt that I've started to replace my stitching on Agnes's quilt is for her brother, and it's called the Plus Quilt, and I'm really enjoying finding the layout that both Adam, the baby's daddy, and I want to use. And so have a look at these next couple of clips now. So it's interesting to look into this basket actually. What have we got in here? Because as I say, it's been a long time since I looked in here. So let's see, what have we got? We've got loads of patterned ones here. And then we've got the units for more of these blocks. And we've got a lot of the cutouts to make loads more of these individual plus pieces to then sew together into the pluses. Now, Agnes's quilt took me 3 years. I don't mind if this quilt takes me 3 years. Today I want to make this little video that I've been thinking about making this project for a long time, and it's all about Christmas stockings. So many years ago, when my children were little, my mum, their nana, made them all a beautiful Christmas stocking. This is John's, and she made them for all my kids and then my brother's kids and their kids. So she made everybody in the family a Christmas stocking with this beautiful embroidery. She was very talented at doing, in fact, she was an embroiderer before she was a quilter. She spent many years doing this beautiful counted thread embroidery. Now, if I'm going to put embroidery on these stockings, I'm in trouble already because I'm not the world's best embroiderer. But the reason why I want to make some Christmas stockings is that my son Owen, now this is my son John's stocking, and she made one for Owen and one for Martha too. And recently I went down to visit Owen. He lives in London, and I took his stocking with him at his request. And he got very nostalgic about it, and he asked if I would make one for his new baby and his wife. So, yeah, I think that's a really, really lovely idea. And now we just poke one inside the other. Feel for it being about right inside there. Just get this top bit lined up and just sort of jiggle around with it a bit so that it lies flat. It'll take a minute or two to get that toe to go in. There we go, because that's where the coin goes. I always used to get maybe a shilling in the toe of my Christmas stocking, maybe sixpence, depending how flush my parents were at the time. And there then is this stocking, and I'll just give it a press so that all those edges are beautifully pressed. Owen's one's got a name on here and these ones haven't, because I can't do embroidery. I think they're just going to have to enjoy the stockings just as they are. So I think you'll have to agree that that's a really easy way to make a little padded Christmas stocking. It's not hard at all. You just have to draw yourself a really nice shape that you can then do all those stages with, and it's quite quick to do. So all your family can have Christmas stockings like my mum's family had. So my tea is still the perfect temperature to drink. What a great mug. I hope you've enjoyed that look back at the last homely house for the last year, and the garden channel too. I really love making content for you here. My daughter-in-law Anna helps me a lot to do some of the editing and the filming, and my other daughter-in-law Rita looks after quite a lot of things to do with the shop. So those are the things that are happening here at the last homely house. If you've enjoyed this video or any of the videos that I've featured in these clips, then give a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and put your notifications on so that you'll get the first video of 2024. If you enjoy the content here, I make extra content over at Patreon, and so pop down in the description below. There's always a link to Patreon there, and you'll find out what that's all about. But for now, as it comes towards midnight here in the UK, wherever you are in the world, it's either been New Year or it's about to be New Year. But I wish you a very, very happy one indeed. And I look forward to seeing you next year. I look forward to finishing this and showing you this quilt finished, and Anna's too, and many, many more projects beside. So thanks so much, and take care and have a wonderful, happy New Year.